Hey guys, welcome to Sportitude Running. My name is Josh and we've got a very exciting shoe review to get through today. I'm smiling from ear to ear because it is one of my favourite racing shoes of 2022. In front of me right here, we have the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. And to my right, we have got the Endorphin Pro 2. So in today's review, we're going to jump into all the specific details of 3 to 2 because they have gone back to the drawing board over the last couple of years and re-engineered what we now know as the Endorphin Pro 3. Outsole, midsole, and upper have had all a little bit of an update. And in today's review, we're going to jump into all those specs. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. First things first, this shoe is a racing shoe. So before you jump into that, what does that mean? Well, this shoe is not going to be a shoe you're going to be using for much of your daily training. I would encourage you to obviously grab a race day shoe and introduce it into your running program in the lead up to your chosen event. However, we're not going to be putting too many miles on the road inside this shoe. It's a very lightweight shoe. It's been engineered to create a really snappy toe off, reduce your ground contact time, but keep you and remaining efficient over your race distance. So being a race day shoe, it's going to be a refined shoe, not much support on offer. So this shoe is a neutral shoe like all other race shoes out there. So if you're a mild overpronator, you're a neutral foot type to a mild supinator, this is going to be a-okay. To be completely honest, if you're an overpronator that does tend to roll in over that middle of your arch, you're still going to be okay as long as you are using this intermittently through your training and obviously for race day only. Same situation for 30 to 40 to 50 years. A race shoe is a shoe that's got a reduction in support, a reduction in cushioning going back in the day, not so much now, but it's all about making you feel light, making you feel fast and snappy on performance day. Okay guys, let's jump into the fun part of the shoe review. Let's talk all things outsole first, starting from the ground, and let's work our way up. Side by side, Endorphin Pro 2, Endorphin Pro 3, you can see straight away there's quite a difference with regards to the outsole coverage. So, talking about the Pro 3, you can see through the forefoot through here, it's called out with that pink rubber. XT900 compound rubber, the same rubber they did use in the Endorphin Pro 2. However, it is a slightly thinner with regards to its thickness. However, the forefoot coverage I really like with this shoe because a lot of the friction in this shoe is going to be through the front half as you get ready to exit out of your gait cycle because that carbon plate is really aggressive with regards to the angle of decline through the front half. The exposed carbon plate through the front through here, as it says, it's calling out that speed roll technology. However, what we have is that really good coverage coming down to the midfoot section. So if you're a midfoot runner, you're going to get a really good purchase to the ground, as well as your heel strikers. One of Saucony's #1 athletes, Jared Ward, US-based runner, marathon runner, is a heel striker, and this shoe covers obviously that back half of the entry point really, really well. I'm going to skip the midsole, go straight to the upper because I love what they've done. This brand, Saucony, have looked at every possible way to reduce weight but not sacrifice performance and support. I say in inverted commas because it is a race shoe. Let's look at the tongue first. We have 1, 2, 3, roughly 5-cent coin, for those of you in Australia who know what I'm talking about, sized holes. So we've got a weight reduction in the tongue. It's a very thin tongue. The upper itself in comparison to last year is again a lot lighter. So therefore they've really considered what they can and can't do with regards to reducing the weight and creating more ventilation. So with this engineered construction up top, they've really looked at, okay, where can we get some weight reduction, not sacrifice support. So the actual outsole where it meets the the midsole where it meets the upper on the medial side as well as the lateral side has a little bit of reinforced materials to make sure that it does stick to the midsole. However, up top through here, incredibly light, very breathable. And as we come through to the tongue, as I touched on, those holes there will provide a little bit extra ventilation, but as well as being a gusseted construction. So the tongue is attached to the midsole, both the medial and the lateral side. Coming back to the heel counter, probably my favourite part of the overall upper is how this heel fits. Because what we find with race shoes or carbon plated shoes, they being a bit stiffer through the front half, we can get a little bit of heel slippage. However, they've really attacked this with just leaning in that heel counter to the base of your Achilles. that gives you a really nice, secure lockdown. There's no internal heel construction as such, but the amount of padding will just conform around the back of your heel to provide the comfort on race day. In comparison to last year, they did tilt it in quite a bit, but not quite as much as what we have found in the Endorphin Pro 3. Okay, let's jump to the midsole, because when you're talking super shoes, we all know we want to talk all things midsole. So just touch on the specs first. We've got the Power Run PB midsole, Saucony's proprietary product, very light, soft, but really responsive underneath the foot. What Saucony have done is they've addressed the midsole by increasing the stack height. So with this shoe here, we have a 39.5 heel and a 31.5 forefoot. So the variance there is 8 millimeters. Last year, we went 35.5 to 27.5. So what Saucony have done is they've increased the amount of shoe underneath your foot. So by increasing it to just under that legal length, remember, so 40 mils is that cap that the World Athletics Association have put on. So 39.5 in the stack. We can get a little bit more aggressive with how we come down to the forefoot with this carbon plate. So increasing the actual height of this shoe has been a really beneficial part of their engineering, because they can get really, really aggressive with that angle of dip through to the forefoot with the carbon plate. So what that's going to do is it's going to provide a really enhanced rocker feel through that front half. That speed rail comes into play. And not to mention, because they have done that, they needed to address the overall support of the midsole, and you can do that with that S-curve carbon plate. So I'll do my best to explain what they have done. The S-curve just provides almost like a bucket on the medial side and a lateral side to that foot. So when a foot comes down on entry, be it heel or midfoot, that S-curve technology just keeps the foot on the platform. So we're talking X and the Y axis, that Z axis as you go through to your exit of your gait cycle, that plane of movement, your foot's going to stay on top of the platform and get the performance benefit of this midsole. Okay guys, in summarizing, Endorphin Pro 3 is going to be a very popular shoe this race season over the next 12 months. Now, as we touched on in this review, Saucony had the Endorphin Pro 1 and 2 being very similar. So it gave the engineering department 2 years essentially to execute and produce what we have in front of us. So the biggest changes are we saw an increase in the stack height, which takes you higher off the ground. And in doing so, they did address that by actually making the surface area a bit broader. So that's just a counterbalance going up. You want to make the shoe a little bit wider as well underneath the foot. And by going thicker, you can get a little bit more creative with regards to the positioning of that carbon plate. So this shoe here feels a lot snappier and a lot springier through the forefoot than what we experienced last year with the version 2. And obviously in comparisons to other models out there, well, hey, if you're having a conversation around carbon plates or you've used other carbon plate models, I'd encourage you to give this shoe a go. Racing shoes, the philosophy hasn't changed for 50 years. You're looking at a shoe that's going to be lighter, less support. However, the biggest change over the last half a decade has been the amount of cushioning and obviously the stack height that's come into play with those carbon plates. So it's really all about the conform, fit and feel and what actually gives you that fast feel underneath the body. All of them have different ways to execute that performance, and Saucony have really nailed it with regards to their midsole performance in the Endorphin Pro 3. And just touching on as well, the shoe itself in those key statistics, we have a slight weight reduction. We've got 204 grams in a men's size 9 from last year's 213, and this year we have 176 grams in the ladies size 7 from 179. So again, a slight weight reduction. A lot of that's come from the execution of the upper, because we've increased the amount of surface area and height in that midsole. So well done to Saucony for obviously bringing that weight down, but still keeping and improving the overall performance of this shoe. Now, guys, if you've used the Endorphin Pro in the last couple of years, even if you've used the Endorphin Pro Plus, let's not forget about that shoe, because Saucony launched that around about 12 months ago, and it was a great way for them to get a bit of market feedback with regards to executing some of the changes in that upper and what we see now in the upper, the Endorphin Pro 3. So if you've used any of those shoes, let us know in regards to the comment section below your performance, your feedback, how you've gone. Let us know even what your favorite race day shoe is now. We'd love to hear from all of you all around the world with regards to your running shoe selection. And guys, until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another. Happy running, go chase those PBs, and we'll see you out the road. Take care.